6 p.m. Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Daman Zaman. The headlines. The Prime Minister has said the government is working expeditiously on institutional reforms as a priority, besides reforms at the macroeconomic level. The Deputy Prime Minister says Pakistan, China and Afghanistan have agreed not to allow any terrorist organization to use any country's soil against another. The Senate, in a unanimous resolution today, urged the international community to take notice of India's continued sponsorship of terrorism in Pakistan. In the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the occupation troops, in their fresh act of state terrorism, martyred 2 youths in Kishtwar district today. The International Criminal Court prosecutors have urged judges to reject a request by Israel to scrap the arrest warrants for the Prime Minister and his former defense minister. The first eliminator of Pakistan Super League will be played between Lahore Qalandars and Karachi Kings in Lahore this evening. And now the news in detail. The Prime Minister Mohammad Shahbaz Sharif says the government is working expeditiously on institutional reforms as a priority, besides macroeconomic level reforms. He was talking to a delegation of the International Monetary Fund led by Jihad Azor, which called on him in Islamabad today. The Prime Minister said, by the grace of Allah, the Almighty, Pakistan is now on the path of economic growth after attaining economic stability. During the meeting, the discussions focused on the implementation of the ongoing IMF program in Pakistan. The two sides expressed satisfaction over the economic reforms undertaken by the government and their positive results. The International Monetary Fund delegation expressed the willingness for the continued support to Pakistan's efforts for economic stability and growth. The Deputy Prime Minister Mohammad Ishaq says a clear agreement has reached with China and Afghanistan that no terrorist organization, whether the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, Balochistan Liberation Army or others, will be allowed to use any country's soil against another. Addressing a news conference in Islamabad today, he said his recent China visit was highly successful and Pakistan has achieved a significant progress on diplomatic, strategic and economic fronts. The Deputy Prime Minister said discussions on CPAC 2.0 were detailed and promising. He said we have successfully laid the groundwork for expanded cooperation under the Belt and Road Initiative. He confirmed that China has expressed its intent to finance the Pakistan-Afghanistan-Uzbekistan railway project, calling it a transformative step for regional connectivity. Ishaq Dar said we have already sent a draft framework to Uzbekistan and Afghanistan. The Senate today unanimously passed a resolution urging the international community to take notice of India's continued sponsorship of terrorism in Pakistan and its repeated violations of international law and humanitarian norms. The resolution, moved by Shah Zeb Durrani, unequivocally condemned the terrorist attack on a school bus in Khusdar as barbaric, shameful and unforgivable crime against innocent children, describing it as an act that represents the lowest depth of cowardice and moral depravity. The resolution demanded a swift, transparent and decisive investigation into the incident and called for immediate identification, arrest and punishment for all those involved, including the perpetrators, collaborators, financiers and foreign sponsors of the terror attack. The National Assembly today passed a resolution urging the government to take immediate steps to condemn India's unlawful and unilateral declaration to holding Indus Water Treaty in abeyance. The resolution, moved by the Minister for Water Resources Mohammad Moeen Wattu, said it was a blatant violation of the treaty, which clearly amounts to an act of war. Responding to a point of order raised by Raja Parvez Ashraf, the Minister for Railways Mohammad Hanif Abbasi said concrete steps are being taken to reclaim encroached railway land across the country. Pakistan and the World Bank have expressed the commitment to work closely to operationalize the 10-year country partnership framework for sustainable development in the country. This was expressed during a meeting between the Minister for Finance Mohammad Aurangzeb and the World Bank delegation led by the Managing Director Operations Ms. Anna Bierde in Islamabad today. The meeting focused on strengthening bilateral cooperation and accelerating the implementation of the newly launched 10-year country partnership framework. Speaking on the occasion, the Finance Minister Mohammad Aurangzeb reaffirmed the government's strong commitment to partnership framework of the bank. The Minister for Science and Technology Khalid Hussain Maksi has announced the introduction of an integrated and simplified one-window quality assurance system to uplift cosmetics industry. During a meeting with the delegation representing the cosmetics industry in Islamabad today, he reiterated the government's commitment to promoting exports and raising product standard at par with international level and standards. He said the Ministry of Science and Technology would enhance its role in policy making, research and industry facilitation to ensure the growth and global recognition of the local cosmetics sector. The Minister for National Food Security, Rana Tanveer Hussain, has said the olive value chain is breathing new life into Pakistan's economy. Addressing the Udan Pakistan Startup Vision event in Islamabad today, he said the olive sector has emerged as a comprehensive industrial model that is unlocking new avenues for employment, exports and innovation. He highlighted that over 85 olive startups are operating successfully through e-commerce with significant participation from women and youth. This is Radio Pakistan giving you the news. In the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the occupation troops in the fresh act of state terrorism martyred two Kashmiri youths in Kishtwar district today. According to Kashmir Media Service, the youth were martyred during a violent cordon search operation launched by the Indian forces in Chatru area. The troops sealed off the entire area and subjected the residents to vigorous questioning. There was an atmosphere of intense fear and harassment as the operation was in progress when the last reports came in. Meanwhile, the All Parties Hurriyat Conference spokesman, Advocate Abdur Rashid Minhas, in a statement, has asserted that Kashmir is not an internal matter of India, but a long-standing dispute involving the fundamental right to self-determination for nearly 15 million Kashmiris. He warned that India's intransigence and unrealistic policies continue to fuel instability across South Asia, with the region facing persistent threats of a potential nuclear conflict. The All Parties Hurriyat Conference spokesperson called on the United Nations to break its silence and exert pressure on India to implement the United Nations resolutions on the Kashmir dispute. The Israeli forces in their unabated strike have martyred 51 more Palestinians in the besieged Gaza. Meanwhile, the United Nations chief spokesperson has stated that limited humanitarian aid finally entering Gaza is not enough to meet the needs of the population. The International Criminal Court prosecutors have urged judges to reject a request by Israel to scrap the arrest warrants for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his former defense minister. In a 10-page written submission posted on the International Criminal Court website, prosecutors argued that there is no basis to withdraw or vacate the pending warrants for Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant. The warrants were issued in November last year when judges found there was reason to believe Netanyahu and Gallant used starvation as a method of warfare by restricting humanitarian aid and intentionally targeted civilians in Gaza. In Australia, 3 people have been killed in flooding due to heavy rains in New South Wales. Evacuation warning has been issued to 52,000 population of the area. Cricket. The first eliminator of the Pakistan Super League will be played between Lahore Qalandars and Karachi Kings in Lahore this evening. The match will start at 8 p.m. And finally, the weather report. Mainly hot and dry weather is expected in most parts of the country, while very hot conditions are likely in the plain areas during the next 12 hours. However, partly cloudy weather with rain thunderstorm is likely at isolated places in Kashmir and adjoining hilly areas during evening and night. And that is the end of this news bulletin. For more news and analyses, log on to our website, radio.gov.pk, and you can also watch the live video streaming of our bulletins on the link, facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.